Welcome back to another one of my videos. As always, these stories are written by amazing writers on Reddit, and I read them to you for your auditory pleasure. Other than finishing this video, do me another favor and go to my friend Austin's channel. He's a great guy, he's been amazing to me since I've met him, and he has his own card shop where you can come hang out and play games, as well as buy different cards like Pokemon and for Magic the Gathering. The shop's name is OA Gaming Emporium, and he's got his own gaming YouTube channel called OAAA. That said, I hope you enjoy the stories. Ciao. The Voice. My parents were not super well off for a long time. They struggled to get ahead. My dad worked incredibly hard, stress and fights and all the shit that comes with money troubles, but he'd saved enough to put a deposit on home. I remember the first time I walked into that house. It was the day of the turnkey, and I was super excited to finally have a garden to play in. It was a 2-bedroom with a study. Not very big. The whole house was painted shades of gray and black. From excitement, I felt this sinking feeling as I looked around. I remember feeling this overwhelming sense of wrongness. To put it into words is impossible. That feeling traveled up and down my body in waves, a mix of unease and trepidation with absolutely no explanation. I tried to tell my dad, and I remember him saying that it was just a big change and I'd get over it. I was a quiet kid, kept to myself and swallowed it down. 11 years old. For my birthday that year, my parents decided to get me a cat. They took me to a breeder and they chose one. I don't like cats. I'd been bitten and scratched before, but I said thank you and tried to love it. Not that I'd ever loved any of us back. That cat hated being touched or even looked at. Didn't hiss or scratch, but gods, it would just hide away all day and night. Hard feet for an indoor cat. She lived in the laundry mostly, which was where our toilet was as well. So to get to the toilet, you'd have to sneak past her. I remember one night I woke up suddenly. When I opened my eyes in a panic, it was pitch black. You could look back and say perhaps it was a moonless night, but it didn't feel that way. It felt like the darkness had eyes, like it was watching me, covering me, running all over my skin in its thickness. Black so thick it made the hair on my back of my neck stand up on end. It made my mind race, my heart beat in my throat. Any trace of sleep gone, I realized I probably woke up because of the overwhelming need to pee. With the absolute dread, I got up and walked the 15 steps to the bathroom. I would have got the belt if I'd woken my parents up by turning on the light, and both were light sleepers, so I walked in that dark. I held onto the walls and put one foot in front of the other. Shivers ran up and down my arms. My breath felt heavy in front of my face, even though it was warm inside. I turned, knocked for the cat, and I opened the laundry door only to find the cat upright on its bed, absolutely fixated and hissing at the window in the laundry door. I think I was so stunned that this cat was hissing and angry that I just froze. Dread swept over me like ice over my body. I went hot and cold all over before I could even tell you why. I turned my head, and in that large window was a dark shadow of a huge man with a top hat on. He was looking right at me. I knew he was. Through me, over me. No features in that thick darkness, but the outline of him was so very clear. This sensation of being bathed in ice down every root of hair from the top of my head to my toes. The cat was growling and hissing, looking at the same thing as me. I forgot to close the door or to breathe. I just ran into my room and hid under the bed, rocking back and forth for hours until the sun came the hell up. trying to breathe through the terror and fight for control over my thoughts, trying to rationalize with myself. I tried to tell my parents. I really tried to tell them, and they didn't believe me. They said I saw the shadow of the trees outside moving, that it was my imagination. That night I made sure to pee before bed. Double-checked the security door was locked, that the wooden door was locked, that the blinds in my room were down, and that I had my lamp on. I slept with the light on from then on, and even then I didn't feel safe. Fast forward to 12 years old. My grandparents came to stay with us for the year from overseas. The house was small, so they moved me from my room to the study. I had no complaint. I loved my grandparents so much. The study was small. I slept on the pull-out sofa. It touched the deck, which had a computer on it. The window was narrow and in a corner, but it was floor to ceiling. This room did not have curtains. My parents also didn't let me take my lamp as my grandparents needed it to read at night. I tried to ask it for a few times and was told to grow up. It started maybe the night I first slept there or that first week. I can't be sure. That part is fuzzy, so I won't bullshit. I'd wake up for no apparent reason in the middle of the night. Once, twice a week at first, then it got to every night. My parents started getting angry with me over it. I was tired and the school was noticing. I'd say it was months that constant night waking happened without cause. Though it could have been weeks. And one night, it changed. I woke up to hear tapping on the window. It was so soft at first. I thought I was dreaming. But every night it got a little louder. Very distinct. Sometimes there was long drawn-out scratching. Sometimes breathing. Heavy breathing. But no matter what, there was always the tapping. I didn't look. I never looked. It seems my fear response is to freeze and hide like a coward. But that tapping and those sounds were terrifying. I would sit in that bed with my head under the covers, drenched in sweat, waiting for it to finish. Waiting for the noises to stop. The sickness of fear to leave my body. I'd lose hours trying to gain control of myself. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. My parents were enraged with my bullshit. They told me it was birds. The flowers outside the window hitting it in the wind. That I was making things up in my head. By summer, I was a mess. My grandparents even offered for me to sleep in bed with them. But my parents got angry, saying I wasn't a baby and that was ridiculous. It is a hot night. I'll never forget it. It had been a scorcher of a day, and we didn't have aircon. Just a box in the living room. So my parents got the mattresses and put them on the living room floor for my grandparents and for them to sleep. I got to sleep on the couch with them, and it was the first time in a very long time I got to sleep in. It was such a heavy, healing sleep. When I woke up, I'm sure it was afternoon. Maybe the one and only time I was ever allowed to sleep in like that since I was little. And my parents were acting so strange. They made me breakfast in silence, and my grandparents didn't say much. I ate in this weird silence too, and the longer it went, the sicker I felt. Like I had done something really bad and I was about to get a beating. But Dad sat down at the table and started asking me questions. When did I start hearing the noises? What did the man I saw look like, etc.? I cannot describe the relief I felt that finally I was being listened to. I went over all of it, again, for the manyth time. The man in the window, the cat hissing, the tapping, the noises, everything. I tried to be as honest as I could. I know when I looked at my dad when I finished that he didn't believe me. He said he heard the tapping at the windows last night. They all had. It had woken them all up. My dad had gone outside to look, but no one was there. He said he's thought about it logically, and it must be one of the kids from school pulling a prank, and he talked to the school. That night, after a long hot day, we got this beautiful summer rain. I sat in the garden and got soaked before my parents got home from work. I sat in the garden and enjoyed that water hitting me, washing away all my problems for a minute. That night I was so exhausted that I just fell asleep watching TV. My parents moved me, and groggy as I was, I just fell flat on the sofa bed and passed out. They'd left my window open, my nightlight off. That night I woke up to the sound of my name, my full fucking name being whispered to me. The darkness was thicker than I'd ever felt it before. The voice was inside and outside at the same time, calling my name, enunciating each vowel. I was frozen with fear. I held my hands to my ears. I squeezed my eyes closed so tight I felt my eyes would glue themselves shut. The voice got louder and louder, more demanding, telling me to come to the window, calling my name. That voice wasn't man, woman, or child. There was no describing it, but it knew I was awake. It knew because it became insistent that I come to the window, that I get up and come and look. When it growled at me to come to the window, the voice angry and insistent, something snapped inside of me. I felt like my heart would give out if I didn't open my mouth and say something, or do anything, so I screamed. When I tell you I screamed, I mean I screamed so loud that my voice broke. I didn't scream words or help, I just screamed this primal sound like some dying animal. My dad burst into my room and asked me what the fuck was going on. I couldn't talk. I couldn't speak. I was just terrified beyond measure. My bed was so wet from sweat that it looked like I'd taken a shower and just lie down without drying. I was allowed to sleep with my grandparents after that, and my parents got security lights and added security that they armed every night. They even got the priest to come and bless the house. My parents installed security cameras around every corner outside, all of them capturing the windows and doors to the house. I never heard about it again. All the noises stopped, the darkness gone. The feeling of being watched all the time disappeared too, and I forgot about it. Friends and life and fun taking over those memories. I did ask my dad about it years ago. I think I'd had a bad dream. I must have been in my late teens. I'd brought it up. He told me not to worry about it anymore, but the look on his face was haunted. Whatever actually happened, whatever he knew, he's taken it to the grave. If you liked that video, then like the video. If you're going to bed soon, sweet dreams. And if you have a full day ahead of you, I hope it goes well. Thank you for taking your time to spend on watching one of my videos on my channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.